Welcome back. If you recently subscribed to me because of my music review video, keep in mind that this isn't a reaction or music review channel, it's just something I do sometimes. What I do mostly is try to document some of the things that I do in my daily life, like DIY projects or sometimes review products that I've bought, and today I'm reviewing the WALI Monitor Arm. I have the box right here. Now I bought this about 11 months ago, so you might be wondering why I still have the box. This is actually the box for the second one that I bought, which arrived just a couple of days ago, and that should tell you that I was pleased with the first one, so I guess that's the short version of this video. I mentioned in my last DIY video that one of the reasons that I built this wooden riser that you see here in the corner of my video is because I wanted to clamp on a monitor arm, but my desktop is tempered glass, and it's not even 1/4 of an inch thick, so I didn't want to clamp a hard piece of metal onto that to try to hold a monitor. I thought maybe the tightening of the clamp might shatter the glass, and even if it didn't, for example, if I put a piece of wood underneath it to help hold the clamp and maybe some soft cloth on the top, so it wouldn't shatter the glass when I clamped, I thought maybe the weight of the monitor arm or the adjustment of it might hurt the glass. So that's one reason that I built this wooden riser here. But I've never had a monitor arm or a monitor swinging, adjustable monitor mount before, so I wasn't sure exactly what I was looking for, but I looked at a lot of YouTube videos, and this one seemed like the most cost-effective. I'll hold this box up here again. It has a nice picture of the mount there on it, showing here where it can clamp onto the desk or it can screw up through a hole, a grommet in the surface. And as I already mentioned, I wanted to use the clamping option. It does have two options for the mounts here, the 75 millimeters by 75 millimeters or the 100 by 100. It can rotate upward and downward about 35 degrees each direction, can swivel 90 degrees to each side, and around and around it can go 360 degrees. There is integrated cable management, as it says here, and it's held up with a gas spring. And it says it can support a curved monitor, which I don't have one, so I can't test that. Here I do have some unboxing footage. It does come with an instruction manual on how to put the thing together. That wasn't exactly as perfectly clear as I would like, but it helped a lot. I've never owned one before, so I wouldn't have known what to do otherwise. It came with this fairly solid pole. By the way, one thing that I noticed when I bought the second one, I don't remember selecting an option for how high the pole was, but my second one, the pole was not quite as high. I just now measured with a ruler. The original pole that I got looks like about 14 or 15 inches tall, and the post for the one that I got a couple of days ago was only 10 inches tall. But that didn't matter because I didn't need those extra inches anyway. This is the clamp that it came with, and I was surprised at how heavy and solid that it felt. As soon as I pulled it out of the box, it was a very solid clamp with a very easy turning motion on the screw. It's a solid piece of metal. That's a very light plastic piece there that just covers the base once it's clamped on to make it look nicer. It also came with its own Allen wrenches. All the screws and bolts that come with this are either, I think, a 4mm hex head or a 7mm hex head. So if you don't have those tools already, it comes with it. The arm itself was also very solid, more than I would have expected for this inexpensive of a monitor mount. I made the mistake of trying to hold the camera with one hand while opening and getting this stuff out with the other hand. As you can see, most of the monitor arm is metal, but it does have some plastic sheathing, which I guess reduced the cost of it a little bit. The plate that mounts on the back of the monitor was very solid. It looked like a stamped piece of metal as well. And it was pretty easy to figure out how to put it together. But I am glad I had the instructions just so I didn't have to figure it out by trial and error. Now, one thing I worried about was how much clamping force would be on this piece of plywood, and I probably shouldn't have worried about that because this is a 3/4 inch sheet of plywood and it's very sturdy, but I didn't want to take any chances. So before I clamped it on there, I had a piece of 1x4 oak, red oak in the garage, and I cut a 4x4 inch square. It's actually, I think, 3.5 by 3.5 inch square. You can see that square of red oak here. I didn't bother sanding it or anything. I just intended to press it up underneath the plywood to make it 1.5 inches thick instead of 3/4 of an inch thick when I went to clamp it on. And here's the first post that I put on the wooden desktop riser that I made. The post is very solidly in place, and here I moved the camera underneath the riser and trying to adjust the light to fit under there, and you can see where the clamp is solidly onto that piece of oak and the plywood. Now, I didn't get any actual footage of me attaching the monitor, but if you've ever seen these things done before, it's pretty obvious. And also, if you just look at the back of your monitor, it either has 4 screw holes or it doesn't. One of my older monitors didn't have it, so I couldn't have attached it to that. Not without some kind of jerry-rigging that I'm not prepared to undertake right now. But these two monitors do have the 4 holes, which is, I guess, a VESA mount, however you pronounce that. And they're spaced exactly as those holes were spaced on that metal plate that came with this monitor arm. And it came with several sets of screws depending on what kind of mount you had there. what kind of screw holes you have on the back of your monitor. So you just look at the pictures in the instruction manual, you put the plate on the back of the monitor after you turn it off and pull the wires out and everything. You just screw those screws in with the little washers that are provided, and it even has little pictures in the manual saying, you don't want to screw them in too far where it damages the inside of the monitor casing. You also don't want them to be too far out so that it's not held on there. And it comes with little rubber spacers just in case the back of your monitor is curved. So the spacers can fit between the back of the monitor and that mounting plate. But anyway, it went on just fine. The plate slides onto the end of the monitor arm and it's fully adjustable. You can loosen the part that attaches to the post to lower or raise the entire assembly. And then the arm itself has joints where you can, adjust the positioning of it. You can rotate it if it's not quite level. You can even turn the monitor vertically or turn it vertically the other direction, and that's fine. You can, twist it back and forth to get it just right. And the reason that I bought a second one was so I could have the other one and, position them just right. And now I don't have anything underneath the monitors, no stands. I don't have the extra risers that I used to have. And so you can set things there on the desk if you need to. Lots more desk space. The monitors are now right at my eye level so I can look at them. And this monitor's been on that mount for 10 to 11 months, and it hasn't moved in that time, except when I've moved it. Now, the other one's only been on here for a day or two, so I can't speak to the quality control. I don't know. If you bought 10 of these, maybe 2 of them would fail. I don't know. But the 2 that I've bought are doing well. So if you were wondering whether or not a $45 monitor arm is going to be worth it, I'm pretty happy with this one. Now, just to be clear, this is the GSDM001 version. I think that WALI has a couple of other versions that have a slightly different serial number, and again, I can't speak to those. Now, if you have a gigantic monitor, you might need a more expensive monitor arm to hold the weight of those. Check the specs on the whatever website you order from. My monitors are, I believe, 21 inches and 22 inches, and neither one of them's very heavy. When I was putting them on the mount I very easily positioned them holding the monitor with one hand and holding the arm with the other hand and placing it on there. So I know they're not that heavy. But for normal size monitors, this works perfectly. And so if you're looking for something like that, I'll recommend this one. And no, this is not sponsored. One other thing that didn't apply to me but might apply to you is that the clamping section opens up to something like 3 or 4 inches. Again, you can check the specs on the website, but it would clamp onto a very thick desk surface. As I said, my wooden riser here is only 3/4 of an inch thick, and I added the 1x4 piece of oak, which is also 3/4 of an inch thick, to make a total of 1.5 inches. So I actually had to screw the clamp in quite a ways to get it to clamp onto there. But once it's on there, it's solid. And now the underside of the top part comes with a little, felt or soft sticker that sticks up underneath there, so it's not going to mar the upper surface if you ever need to move it. There was no metal or anything digging into the upper surface. I don't know what else I can say about this. Oh, it did come with a little plastic clip that slides onto the post that has 2 little holes to slide the Allen wrenches in. And on that clip, there's an extra little clip where you can place the wires for the monitor for cable management. I haven't actually used the cable management that's built into the arm itself. There is a place to track the wires down the monitor arm itself, but because I need all these wires to go to a specific location over here where my tower is, and they're not long enough to run through those tracks and then still go over there, I didn't actually use those. But it looks like a pretty good idea. Whoever engineered this thing did it pretty well, and for the cost, you just about can't beat it. I hope that helps any of you that were considering a monitor arm but didn't want to spend a lot. Because when I was looking for these things, I did see some that were way out of my price range. I found some monitor arms that were $400 and $600 and $1,000. And well, I'm not running a government-funded military operation where I can afford a $1,000 monitor arm. So if I hadn't found a monitor arm this inexpensive, I would have went without one or tried to make one myself. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.